things to talk about from the European and the global marketplace. My colleague at DWTV for China Television, live to us from the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, a very special edition of your Business Incorporated today. Of course, let's get on to what do we expect today from the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee. This is the second to the last meeting for 2018. Bring this on the screen, show you what some analysts are saying ahead of this afternoon, the session that should come in within the hour. We expect the governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, to read a communique of the members. This is part of what the analyst community are saying this today. United Capital issued a very three-paragraph statement saying what a hawkish CBN means for the equities market. This is part of the conversation with our panel here at the headquarters, as well as the studios at the Stock Exchange. United Capital analyst says, quote, "We do not expect the Monetary Policy Committee to tinker with the policy rate due to a balance of external and domestic factors." So they're saying there will be a balance of domestic and external factors. What are these factors? We'll throw that to our panel. We hear from them as we move on. Theoretically, United Capital says a hawkish CBN stance poses a gloomy picture for equities as investors rotate their investments away from risky equity assets to government assets like treasuries and bonds. That's the view from United Capital. Before that, on Friday, FSDH Group also issued a statement, a bit of a lengthy three-pager, saying that it will be difficult for a hike in the interest rate to stem the rise in inflation, which went north to 11.23% at the month of August, because the reason for the inflation rate is not within the scope of the monetary policy of the central bank. So FSDH is reiterating that the central bank will keep its monetary space unchanged. That's the story from FSDH Group. And of course, you see a bit of that from United Capital, a bit of a consensus that central bank will hold rates unchanged today. Last meeting, which was in July, the central bank decided to leave the monetary policy rate unchanged at 14%. The asymmetric corridor was plus 200 and minus 500 basis points. Cash reserve ratio was left unchanged at 22.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%. But of course, the central bank signaled the unveiling of a monetary policy easing through the back door, what we call the cash reserve ratio of issuance or for commercial papers, which the central bank says it will support the banking sector to do. And after that, we heard about the bond raising. So this is quite a bit of what we'll be doing today. Let me introduce you to our panel for these September 25th, Tuesday. Ayodeji Ebo, who is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Afrinvest Securities, is live here at our headquarters studios in Lagos. Ayodeji, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks.
We appreciate your time. And in downtown Lagos, Nigerian Stock Exchange, where our studio is based, we have two guests joining us on the program. Let me introduce first Christian Orajakwe, who is the head of research and strategy at Quadros Capital. Ayodeji, I beg your pardon. Christian, thank you very much for being here. And of course, he's been joined also by Victor Chiazo, who's the head of research at Fidelity Securities. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
For having us.
Yes, thank you very much. Gentlemen, we appreciate your time. Let's start with you, Christian. Let's go straight to the story. What do you think the consensus is more like a hold decision? What's the view from Quadros?
We are one of the consensus as well that is looking forward to a hold decision at today's meeting.
What informed your hold decision?
Okay, so when you look at the last meeting till date, so the last meeting in July till date, a number of parameters we actually looked at by the Monetary Policy Committee before reaching the decision to hold rates at the time. And when you go through some of these parameters till date, there hasn't been so much significant change. And more importantly as well is the fact that when you look at the GDP data that was released for Q2, the growth number was quite disappointing. And hence, whilst at the last meeting, the MPC sounded like that, they sounded more hawkish in their tone, it's very unlikely that they're going to raise rates this time around, in today's meeting, because like I've mentioned, the growth still remains, very fragile.
Thank you, Christian, for raising the curtain. Victor, what's the view from Fidelity Securities? What's the thinking among your research team about what the decision should be today?
Yeah, thank you. We align ourselves with the broader consensus, which estimates and forecasts that the CBN Monetary Policy Committee should actually maintain status quo. I think more or less, if you look at the consensus committee, more or less a 95%, 5%, and 5% in favor of holding, while 5% in favor of actually raising rates. So we're actually in the line of actually maintaining status quo.
Okay. In terms of where you folks think where we are looking at the economy and what has changed or what hasn't changed since then, let's get back to you, Christian, on this. Why do you think the outlook is really, from your view, on holding rates steady over the last meetings?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? I didn't quite get the question.
Yes, this is going to be, consensus is around hold. So the question really, Christian, is how do you think we've gone this far in holding this policy rate without any major change over the last several meetings we've had?
Okay, clearly, like you mentioned, the monetary policy rate has been held at 14% for quite a while. I think the CBN has clearly stated that its objective remains to maintain price stability and also, exchange rate stability. And after the challenges that was faced in late 2015, early 2016, when the rates was cut actually, and then the subsequent pressure on FX and also some inflationary, consequences as well. The MPC, has decided to take the decision to tighten up until, the rate at 14%. And then you agree with me that the environment has been quite, volatile, and then a significant level of austerity, particularly from the local environment as well. So hence why the MPC has decided to keep rates at 14%, from late 2016 thereabout till date.
Okay, Christian, let's hold it there. We'll come back to everyone on this discussion after the break. We'll be back in 2 minutes.